The following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangi coming to you with what will hopefully be a quick and successful review, and today we're going to be taking a look at Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class as Gears. That's right, today it's Mr. Grumpy Gus himself, Elf the Autobot with the bad temper, Gears, and that's one of the defining traits of Gears to this day, partially because of the fact that Hasbro has not really focused on Gears too often. And believe it or not, out of all 18 members of the original Autobot cast that were created for the start of the Transformers franchise back in 1984, when most older adult-age Transformers fans and collectors, those who grew up watching the Generation 1 series back in 1984, and even those who have been introduced to it more recently, most Transformers fans, when they list the 18 original Autobot cast as from their most favorite to least favorite, most oftentimes, out of all 18 characters, the one who usually ends up at the bottom of the list and is considered the least popular of them all is either Huffer or Windcharger. But surprisingly, out of all 18 of the original Autobot cast members, the one character that holds the title of having the least amount of action figures is this guy. Gears has been given so few action figures by Hasbro, not counting repaints, reissues, but counting only original brand new molds or molds that have been released by Hasbro. There have only been 3 action figures of Gears that have been released. The first being the Generation 1 Gears figure back in 1984. Then the second one was this guy. This is the Generations Thrilling 30/IDW Legends class, or Core class as it's now known, Gears figure. This one was released in 2014 for the 30th anniversary of the Transformers, and now we have Legacy United Deluxe class Gears released for the 40th anniversary. So it's been a literal decade since the previous Gears action figure was released, and on that note, this right here, Thrilling 30 Gears, was the first ever Generations Chug-style Gears action figure that was ever released, and so this new brand, the recently released, as of this video's recording, it's August of 2024, or Legacy United Gears is not only the first modern deluxe class figure that Gears has been given, but it's also only the second Chug-style Gears figure that's been released. Huffer has been given at least more action figures than that. Now, when I say action figures, I don't just mean Chug style, I mean action figures in general. If you count non-Chug style action figures, the total number of action figures Gears has been given has been 4, at least for the official Hasbro released action figures. Apart from G1 and these two, Gears was technically given a deluxe class figure in the Transformers Revenge of the Fallen line in 2009. That figure was a mostly silver and blue repaint of Transformers 2007 Movie 1 Decepticon Stockade, and it was made, and that's the only movie-verse action figure that Gears has ever been given. Even so, out of all the 1984 original Autobot cast members, Gears is the one that Hasbro has overlooked the most often. And so, it literally is a breath of fresh air every time Gears gets a brand new action figure because of how few and how least often he does get an action figure from Hasbro. So here's Gears inside of his box. There's some box art of his alternate mode of a mostly blue and red pickup truck. Got some artwork here of his robot mode face, and there it is zoomed out with his entire robot mode shown. And he does come packaged with the laser gun that he's shown wielding on his box art. On this side, you got half of the poster image for the Legacy United line. Going here to the back of the box, you got Gears in his robot mode and his alt mode. And he does have a flip open chest gimmick. He transforms back and forth between both modes in just 12 steps. And the flip open chest gimmick, what it's based on is the only one single spotlight episode that Gears was given by Sumbo Productions during the G1 cartoon series. Gears did appear here quite often as a side character or a supporting character, being one of the Autobots who would sometimes put his 2 bits in, and Gears was one of the Autobots during the second episode of G1 who he actually helped get Ravage captured. But in the Spotlight episode that focused on Gears, the Decepticons captured him and they opened up Gears' chest and they rewired him and reprogrammed him to be nice and happy all the time. But fortunately, by the end of the episode, the Autobots were able to rescue Gears. They reprogrammed him back to his normal, grumpy self, and Gears was quite relieved that he didn't have to be happy all the time ever again. And so, if you want to replicate that one single time the Decepticons opened up Gears' chest and reprogrammed him to be nice, then the Legacy United figure gives you the option of doing that. The chest piece itself, it clips on and off if it's not held in place by a metal pin. And so, when you buy Gears for the first time, the chest plate, just like his laser gun, is an accessory piece that's stored in the back of the box, so people wouldn't flip the chest off and steal it like they were doing with the heads of some of the first deluxe class Transformers figures that had this open window packaging. So that's pretty much it. So without further delay, let's get this guy out of his box and take a close look at him in his robot mode. Alright, and so here is Gears out of his box and transformed into his robot mode and his chest piece attached. And again, that's purely done for the one-time episode that his Spotlight episode that focused on him, where the Decepticons reprogrammed him. I personally could have lived without that feature on there, but that's for anyone who's OCD about wanting to create a stop-motion video or reenact that at an episode from a cartoon back in 1984 with Gears. So it's all personal preference, but for me personally, I could have done without the open chest gimmick. I can kind of see why they didn't have it attached to a metal pin, because the pins that hold his tires in place run through it, and so they would have had to design another way for the wheels to be attached there. So I can kind of forgive Hasbro for doing that. As far as articulation goes, Gears does have full head articulation, but because of the let's see, how many sides are there to his head? Hexagon, it's 6. So because of the hexagon-shaped design on his head, you do have to unfortunately unclip his backpack to get his head to spin around 360 degrees both ways, but it is on a nice ball joint. And on the back of Gears' head, it's upside down, but if you look right here, there's the letter M that was found on his Generation 1 action figure, and it's supposed to represent Microman, the line of action figures that the Mini-Bots originally belonged to before Hasbro turned them into Transformers characters. So that's a nice little Easter egg there on the back of Gears' head. And that's where it was on his original Generation 1 action figure, but with the new intricate transformation, it's they can kind of see why they had to sculpt it there instead of elsewhere. The Gears does have 2 Autobot logos. He's got one here on his chest, and then he has one here on his vehicle mode. But I do miss the days when the Autobot logos had white or silver outlines instead of outlines, since it was easier to pick them up and distinguish them in vehicle mode. But I can kind of see why Hasbro and Takara don't do an outline frame now, because it helps them be more of a robot in disguise, having the faction logo be less visible. But that's just my own minor nitpick. As far as other articulation besides the head sculpt goes, you got universal jointed shoulders, so the arms can spin clockwise and counterclockwise. Eyes at the shoulder. The arms can go outward this far. Sorry about that, I had to go help my family with something, and for those of you wondering about that strange tapping sound in the background, was my bedroom window and my bedroom door were both open, and it's getting windy, so the wind was trying to bang my door shut. So now that I've helped my family out, I hopefully won't be interrupted and be able to finish the review without any more background noise. So arms can go out this far, the shoulders. There's a bicep swivel, but you do have to hold on to the shoulder, since it also swivels forward and backwards, even though that's primarily a transformation joint. Double hinged elbows, so you can either have the arms bent this way, bent at this angle, or bent at that angle. And you do have wrist swivels, And I do love the laser gun that's included with Gears. You've got a 5mm post right here, which is also blast effect compatible, I believe, so you can make it look as though there's someone's tried to blast the laser gun here. I'm sorry, it's reverse blast effect compatible. It's blast effect compatible at the tip, so a pretty decent looking laser gun. Swivel joint at the waist, so gears can spin 360 degrees left and right. Universal jointed hips, so the legs can go forward that far, they can go back this far, and even with the backpack, with the huge backpack that Gears has off him, the way the legs are sculpted, there's nothing hitting it until you get the leg up this far, so pretty decent leg articulation forwards and backwards, even with the backpack. Legs can go out this far, so Gears can do the full splits. If you want to see him do that. Swivel joints and points in the thighs, double hinge knees, and ankle rockers if you want to get Gears into a sprawl-legged pose, so quite an impressive amount of articulation on this figure. And for a size comparison, here he is next to the only other Chug-style figure that he's been given from Hasbro. The Thrilling 30 Legends class Gears is what Core class Transformers armors used to be known as. And at the time in the Thrilling 30 line, the Legends class figures had Target Master / Micromaster partners, so Gears can partner with an Autobot Eclipse. He has a drone own jet for his alt mode, so that's his weapon right there. So yeah, pretty impressive looking action figure, the Legacy United Gears figure. This version of Gears was based more off his appearance in IDW's comic books, so this has become the first G1 looking action figure of Gears that looks exactly like he came off the screen from Sunbow Productions' Transformers cartoon show. Alright, sorry about that. My family wants to go grocery shopping, so I gotta hurry and cut the review short. So let's hurry up and get these guys transformed into alt mode and wrap up the review. Alright, and so here is Legacy United Gears transformed into his alt mode of a pickup truck. And the main gripe I've seen multiple collectors say is that they wish the wheels would have had some kind of like axle housing between them. There is a fear that over time the ratchet joints will give out and eventually the wheels will end up collapsing. And I believe even in one of Hasbro's product photos, one of the wheels, the ratchet joint did give out and the tires poking inward. It's the same on all 4 tires, so there is a fear that Gears could one day look like this, where all his wheels have folded in. But at least on the front tires, the ratchet joints do feel somewhat sturdy, fresh out of the box. The ones here on the back, partially because of how tiny they are, they don't feel that strong, but given how impressive looking this Gears figure is, I can myself personally forgive Hasbro and Takara for having the tires end up like this. Some sacrifice had to be made in order to give Gears a much more intricate transformation compared to his Generation 1 action figure, yet at the same time having a similar transformation. And that's the thin line Hasbro and Takara do when designing Generation style Transformers, is how to mix old and new together. The wheels do spin somewhat well on my hands, but as far as spinning on a flat surface, I think they do moderately well. But again, they're all pegged onto egged on, so there is a fear that they could break off someday. As for storage space for the laser gun, on the box it shows that you're supposed to just attach it here on the roof, but the most coherent spot to attach it to is just here on the side of the alt mode. I kind of wish they would have designed at least one 5mm peg here on the bottom for it to go through. I don't think there's enough clearance space for you to spin one of the hands sideways and then have the laser gun plugged in there. But I kind of wish they would have designed some kind of peg for the laser gun to go into. Even if they design a peg for it to somehow stick onto this, I personally wouldn't mind if Gears' laser gun was stored on the underside of him. And I'm kind of starting to see why they tell you to put it on the roof, because there's not much clearance space with the overhang section of the back tire. So even if you store it here on this side with it facing up, with the elevated part right here, which is supposed to be a bunch of roof floodlights on there, it still manages to make Gears be a robot in disguise. And for a quick size comparison, here he is once again next to Thrilling 30 Legends class Gears. And just to complete him by bringing back Eclipse, he just stores up on the roof. Oof, so there they are all armored up. And again, this is IDW gears versus G1 gears here, so as few figures as they are, I don't regret having either of these in my collection. So for the final proverbial question, do I recommend getting Legacy United Deluxe Class Autobot gears and adding him to your Transformers collection? Absolutely, I do. You cannot go wrong having Legacy United gears in your Transformers collection. Again, this is only the second Generations Chug style figure of him that's been released. The Thrilling 31 back in 2014 was the first. And even if you have this Legends Class Gears figure, I still recommend getting this one. Again, you can count using the fingers on your hands how few action figures Gears has been given over the years, so this figure, in my opinion, whatever flaws it has, such as the tires potentially being flimsy someday, this figure is a must-have for any Transformers collector. So thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been the TFN Geek. This has been my review of Transformers Legacy United Gears. Highly recommend you get this figure. Until next time, you guys, remember to stay safe, stay healthy, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.